Hey everybody, welcome to What Had Happened Was. What Had Happened Was. Karyn Bryant here with
Angela Overkill Hill in the hizzy for shizzy, yo.
this is
Oh,
the show where we talk about MMA and we talk about pop culture and just, stuff in general that is going on. Answer your questions sometimes. We're here for you newbies if you've
sometimes.
never really watched. Yeah, sometimes if you've never watched a lot of MMA, I feel like we're a safe place for that.
Yeah. I want you guys to ask us questions in the comments on YouTube or whatever you're watching this on. So we can, because every time I ask questions, or every time I ask for questions, people are like, hey, I have a question, but I don't know if you guys are hearing it. So I want
Right.
the common, what's going down? What's going on? They're after
Yo, it's
Karyn.
LA,
They're
baby. It's
after
like in
Karyn.
LA.
Too much heat in the
I
building.
didn't do
The
it.
fire
Shoot.
trucks are coming. Yes, so please ask us your questions about the fights, about life, about whatever, and we would love to answer them.
It's LA, baby. That's just like the pew pew pew
Pew, pew,
pew,
pew.
like when you're doing your promo, they're cutting the promo
Yeah.
stuff.
That's how
Hey,
fire the
so
show is.
that's right. That's right. Speaking of fire, all your friends do is win. You were cornering another friend this weekend, right? And you got
Yeah.
another winner.
Yo, she is dope. Jenna Bishop, she fought again after making her MMA debut 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
She fought another girl who nobody wanted to fight. This woman, her name is Dion. Gion. I gotta look up her last name, but this
Mm.
girl was a monster. She is a monster.
Yeah.
Scared the shit out of me in the beginning of the first round, but
Oh, really?
yeah, she landed a jump knee, but then Jenna was able to land a left cross and dropped her, and it was all Jenna after that. It was still a back and forth fight, but I think Jenna learned a lot in that fight, and she was able to show that she's capable of going anywhere and still
Yeah.
having success. So it was a bomb ass fight. I loved watching it. I'm such a huge fan of my friend now because I saw her go through adversity and still come
Yeah.
up on top, and it was great. It was really cool to watch, and it was the highest level match of BJJ versus judo in MMA history. How about that?
Really?
How
Wow.
about that? Because they both are credentialed. Jenna has won um a whole grip of just BJJ
Uh-huh.
competitions, and same with Gian.
Right.
I forget what she placed in, but she's an Olympic judoka, and
Oh,
I'm
wow.
pretty sure she's placed in the Olympics. I forget what,
Cool,
but
cool.
I read that somewhere on some grappling website that it was the highest
Right.
highest profile judo versus BJJ
Oh,
match, and
wow.
BJJ won. So congrats, BJJ.
That's
You
cool.
beat judo today, but Jenna has been training with J Flo, who is very famous in the judo world. So
Right.
maybe judo beat judo. Who's to say? Who's
Who's
to
to say? And that was at
say?
LFA. Where was that? Where did she fight?
Yes, LFA 118. There are a bunch of good fights on there. Another girl that I trained with, who is coached by Danny Martinez, who used to
Uh,
fight out of Alliance. He was in the
okay.
UFC 125er. He was one of the guys who got cut with all the 125ers.
Yeah.
But um, Jackie Amorum, I think is how you pronounce her last name. She was supposed to fight this other girl that I follow, Nigerian Terminator, and unfortunately that fight
Nice.
got pulled. Yeah,
Oh,
that both of those girls are scrappy,
badass
just
name.
like badass little strawweights, man. I was really excited to watch that fight, but unfortunately it got pulled. Hopefully we'll see it in one of the LFAs in December. But
Right.
yeah, it was a great night of fights.
Yay, good for you. Well, yeah, we had an afternoon of fights, and then afterwards we were able to go over to our buddies over at High Rollers. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I took Anthony over there because Hanato was on the mic, and
Hey,
Neil Magny was working, and so because it
nice.
was military in honor of Veterans Weekend or whatever,
Yeah.
and so it was military people versus each other and stuff. So it was really cool. And what was also very satisfying about it was the fact that several of the participants did have physical injuries that they either sustained as part of their tour of duty, or
Wow.
one guy, it's crazy, apparently the story is his nickname is Footloose. he has both of his feet were cut off. Apparently it's a crazy story and he's amazing, but apparently he, I guess it was maybe a PTSD situation, but was on a train track suicidal and pulled his feet. I know it's horrible, but he's turned his life around. You know what I mean? And so now you got this guy out there doing jujitsu, and there was, I didn't want this to turn into a sad story. My point was just that it was really cool to see people of allegedly different capabilities in the real world competing together, where everything ended up just being equal on the mat. You know what I mean? So it was very satisfying.
You gotta make me cry, Karyn.
It was.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. But so what was interesting too, I was asking Neil about the fight. I'm like, so dude, are you fighting Khamzat? He's like, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm like, well, I thought that was a set thing. He's like, no, I don't know. He said, and I've been training and acting like I have somebody to fight on December 18th, but I don't really know. He's like, so
wait. So what's the deal with him? He doesn't have an opponent, or his guy pulled out, or
well, remember now. So now everything's funky because Masvidal was gonna fight Leon, but then Masvidal had to pull out, and so now it's like, well, could Neil fight Leon? What is Leon going to do? Is he going to wait for the time? Right. But what about Khamzat? Allegedly, nobody wants to fight him. And so Neil had said he would fight him, but they didn't give him. So he's sitting there kind of training, he said, and he doesn't know who his opponent is or if he's really got to fight. So
someone fight Neil Magny, man. Neil Magny beat not Conor McGregor. He beat Cowboy Cerrone with most fights one year. So Neil Magny is livid, I'm sure, that he's not able to fight more than 7 times this year. Right. Someone needs to fight Neil. And also, if people don't know, a lot of the MMA fans like to say that Neil Magny and I are the same person. So if you combine the amount of fights that we've both had this year, it's still not enough. It's still not enough.
And speaking of which, you signed on for a fight too. And so that is what's so cool, is that you are going to be in action. And I love it. That's on that same card, right?
Yeah, December 18th, man. Well, now we have to get him an opponent. Maybe we'll get Neil Magny an opponent that looks like Amanda Lemos.
That'd be awesome. So, okay, so how did this fight come together?
I literally sent a text message to my manager saying that he was fired because he hadn't gotten me a fight yet. And then the next day, he got me a fight. So I fired him. Thanks, Bryant. No, I don't know what happened with Nina Nunes. Hopefully she's okay.
I know. I
swear I didn't kneecap her.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did not kneecap her. I was in California. I have sources that can, legitimize that. But Nina Nunes, something happened with her. She had to pull out of her fight, and they called me. I think I was probably the best bet because Amanda Lemos is ranked. Nina Nunes was ranked higher, I think 7 or something, or 8. But when you have short notice, a lot of the ranked girls, they don't want to show up to a fight, especially a tough one like Lemos. But of course, I'm game, I'm down, I've been training, I'm ready. And Lemos is like a comfortable fight for me because she's so good on the feet. If anything, it brings out the better striker in myself, where I can just really let loose and go ham, throw punches, get loose in there, and then work my takedowns as well. So I'm excited about it. She's a Muay Thai fighter. I love fighting people with that style because that's where I came up. And I'm gonna throw some bombs. So let's go. The fest is ready. It's ready.
Nice. Yeah. That'll be cool. That'll be like a little beat down. What is he? Yes, Mary. The Mary Fistmas for
Mary Fistmas. Yes. Yes, it's a festivus.
Yeah. It's gonna be awesome. All right, well, cool. Well, speaking of beating down people and throwing hands, Yair and Max baby, they set a new record for the single fight, combined significant strikes. I have it right here. I did one of my after the facts videos, but the number is 389 significant strikes. So Max landed 230 and Yair landed 159. So that was the third most significant strikes landed in a single fight. that was an incredible fight. You know, on the one hand, I was kind of like, well, you could see it ending within 5 because just the efficiency of Max. He could add up that volume. You figure,
Excuse
bless
me.
you,
Sorry.
he could take him out. But at the same time, you know, they were both skilled enough, and we've seen Yair go 5 and, you know, land that literally last second win over his Korean Zombie and stuff. So I don't know. We just settled in for a great fight, and we got a, you know, a total classic.
Yeah, I was nervous in that 5th round for Max because I was rooting for Max. I think he should have been champion already. I think he should have won one of those Volkanovski fights. And I feel for someone who got so close and then just, you know, just a little bit kept him from taking the belt away. So him going up against Yair, I'm like, okay, Max should destroy him. And Yair, oh my
So
God, he was so dangerous. He was so good.
So good.
And a lot of times, you can underestimate Yair because he does a lot of flashy stuff.
Yeah.
So if you have a skilled fighter who's ready for that, a lot of that stuff just misses or just skips or just like, you know, taps, but it doesn't really get to the point where it's knocking him out. Yair had power in this fight. You know, he was mashing Max's face up, landed elbows, cutting him open. And in that 5th round, even though I felt really strongly that Max had it, every time Yair would kind of like rope a dope and like hang back and like kind of show his back, I'm like, oh no, here comes the elbow, you know. So Max did a good job of not getting too overly eager. He mixed in his wrestling, which was a big game changer. If he had just stayed on the feet, I think Yair would have been able to pick him apart. But because he was able to be so fluid in where the fight went, he was able to just kind of big brother him, just you know, keep it so that he was landing more strikes each round. And it was an awesome fight. I was really entertained by that. And we just had a crazy fight with Gaethje versus Chandler. So to be given another, we're getting spoiled, man. We're getting spoiled. I think that everyone on the next card better be ready to throw down because the bar is set very high.
Yeah, the last 3 weeks have been pretty incredible. We had Glover Teixeira winning, and then you had that incredible event in UFC in New York, like you said, which was great. And Gaethje Chandler was amazing. Yeah, this fight absolutely delivered. And, you know, I think a part of it too, why it was also extra exciting was because Yair's been gone for 2 years. And so you didn't really know what you were going to get. And so we know how good Max is. So leading up to it all, you really just thought of it as a Max Holloway. I think a lot of people thought of it as a Max Holloway fight, you know, and then it's like, you got a round in, you're like, oh, Yair actually showed up. That, you know what I mean? And like, I think a lot of people underestimated him. We didn't at work. Actually, that's one thing that we kept saying. We kept talking about his heart. We kept talking about how you can think, you know, with your buddy Jeremy, our buddy Jeremy, that he was able to, you know, withstand a lot of adversity and come back and win a fight, you know, just when you know, Jeremy usually smashes people and Yair had him in trouble, but then he was in trouble himself and turned around. But like, he's more durable than a lot of people give him credit for. And like you said, he's got all that creativity as well, but he's not just a showy guy that's just out there to show. He actually can dig deep if he has to and, you know, withstand a lot. So you saw that in this fight. And I think that was just really exciting. That was one thing that got me, you know, fired up, was kind of like the fact that he got to reintroduce himself on such a high level with such a game opponent to bring out the best in him. And the whole thing that he said leading up to the fight was that he really wanted to just test himself, and he was not so concerned or fixated on the victory. It was more about going in there and seeing what he could do against one of the best. And so obviously what he can do against one of the best is a lot. And now I think a lot of people in the division are like, dang, you know, because it's a really good division. And now at the top you had the champ, and then it was Max Ortega and Yair, Korean Zombie, and Calvin Kattar. So you're like, they're all killers up there.
Yeah, who's gonna pop out of the pack? Like they're all just insane. It's a great like murder's row of top contenders.
Yeah. And so I have a question for you, though, speaking of Calvin Kattar. So I know it's happened to you where with Jessica Andrade, you were on her highlight reel, right? Even though you dropped her yourself too. But I have to
Never
wonder.
forget.
Have a hashtag. You dropped her too. You dropped a hoe.
I didn't get dropped. She's
um,
punched my face a lot.
but the whole idea that all the lead up to this fight was just talking about how Max put on a masterpiece show, a masterclass against Calvin Kattar. So what if you're Calvin Kattar? Like, what has the last week been like, or the last 2 weeks, where all you see, or if you go on social media, is how this is the greatest featherweight in the world, and this was his definitive masterclass performance, and you're the guy on the receiving end of it.
It's not that bad. Like, I did a funny post when Andrade was fighting Rose, and this was closer. This was like maybe three years ago. I forget when. But it was at the point where I was still on Rose's highlight reels, and it was funny because I did that little dog that's in the burning house at the table.
Okay, yeah.
And there's like a little TV in the corner, and the TV has like Rose versus Andrade, and the little dog was me. I put like a little afro on it, but it is what it is. Like, when you lose to someone, that's probably going to end up on their highlights, especially if you lost more than one round, especially if that person had a lot of like really exciting moments against you. And it's not that bad. It's part of it. If anything, you're happy that you're in the conversation. But a lot of people end up in that reel. Like, I feel like when I first lost, I was really upset about it, but then I started seeing videos, highlight reels where Anderson Silva's in somebody's highlight reel, and it's like, that doesn't make him any less of a legend. It's just what you do after that fight. So I'm sure Kattar is reliving past mistakes and a little upset about it, but like, one thing you could do is not watch it. Another thing you could do is joke about it, and like, the best thing to do is to take those mistakes and roll them over, fix them, and move on to the next fight. So the fact that he's still in the conversation is a big deal. The fact that he's even on TV is a big deal. And I'm sure he's just, preparing to become a highlight reel in himself, collect some heads for his highlight reel. So it's never that big of a deal. I think it only really affects you when you first start out and you haven't really lost yet, like, that's when it hurts. After that, then you're like, it is what it is. People who knock someone out, I could knock someone out. If they had like a good moment against me, that's going to end up on their highlight reel, and I'll be like, man, but it's not a big deal. It is what it is. You need to promote every fighter. And that's another thing that I learned being on the broadcast side, is that no matter how bad a fighter is, you're still going to promote them like they're Mike Tyson,
it's the job.
Yeah, you got to. It's your job. And like, in reality, anything can happen in MMA. So it's not like you're lying to the public. Like, you're just saying, this person is good at this, and this, and here's some footage showing it. So that's really all it is. It's nothing personal. It's nothing to knock your career. Is not there to make you feel worse about yourself. It's only there to promote the person whose fight night it is. And I'm just hoping I'm not working the desk next time I'm on.
Well, that's good.
Highlight reel.
That's mature. That's a mature approach. But yes, it is. It at least I will say this too. Whenever we would show the clips, and when you're talking about Max and having that incredible performance against Calvin, then we would always say, and to do it against a guy like Calvin even proves how amazing it was. You know what I mean? And so, to your point, the fact that Calvin's name is in there, we're always big upping him as well, because it's not like Max did this just to a punching bag. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
Like he did it to a really talented fighter. So, and I would imagine too that after having been there, Calvin will be better the next time out. I think obviously Yair will be as well. And, like I said, the whole point was that he wanted to test himself. So this was a question that I also had for Anthony and Bilal, and I'll ask you this as well. And people, could obviously comment as well, because in real life, you kind of have to accept these things, even if you're not a professional athlete. But the whole idea that he was saying, I'm not that concerned about getting the win, and if I'm just here to test myself. And, on the one hand, you could argue that that is liberating and it frees you from the pressure of having to win, and you can just kind of go in there and flow and do your thing. Or you could argue that the person has already accepted the loss, and they're already walking into the event, the competition, the what have you, whatever it is in your real life, and you've already accepted the worst outcome, and you've accepted defeat, and so you've already started to build up excuses because you don't actually believe in yourself.
Yeah, that's not the case. And I hate when people try to overanalyze something that someone says. And I get the argument, and if anything, that's the thing that keeps fighters from saying it to themselves. They don't want to go in there feeling defeated already, just because they're not concerned with winning. If anything, you're concerned um with with performing to the best of your ability, and that means taking risk. And if you're not going to take risk, you're probably not going to win. So it's this whole internal battle with, okay, am I going to throw a head kick that could get me taken down, but could also get me an awesome knockout? Like Yair went in there and he threw this crazy wheel kick at the end of the round. And if that had landed, it would have been amazing. But
Of
if he was
course.
going in there to win, he might have tried to like stall against the fence instead of go for a spectacular knockout. So I think, especially with someone who is like Yair, who can do these like crazy acrobatic things, he has to go in there with that mentality. Otherwise, he's not going to be successful, because he's not good at stalling. He's
Yeah.
not
No,
good
no.
at like at lay and pray. He's not good
No.
at like keeping people away with his jabs. I
Thankfully.
mean,
Thank
he
God.
is good at jabbing, but like to
Right.
do that the entire fight, I think people will find a way around it. And he's not like the most like physically like just like aggressive guy. So I don't see him just bullying someone and holding them and keeping them in a spot where he can stall out a boring victory. And that's
Yeah.
really what people mean when they say, I'm not going to think about winning, because you think, I'm gonna throw this big punch and knock him out, and then there's this little voice in your head that goes, what if they counter you? And then you
Yeah.
stall, or you
Yeah.
hesitate rather. And those are the things that fighters mean when they say, I'm not gonna think about winning, I'm not gonna focus about winning, I'm going to focus on performing to the best of my ability. And there's a big difference between accepting that you've already lost and accepting that it doesn't matter if you win or lose, as long as you go out there and do the best that you can. That's a huge difference. And I think it's hard for especially athletes to understand that those are two different things when they're first starting out, especially if you're like undefeated, or if you've
Mhm.
only had like a couple losses and you're just like, man, I really don't want to lose again. Like that is something that you have to X out of your brain, thinking,
Yeah.
man, I really don't want to lose again, because that's when you start setting yourself up for failure by being hesitant and not getting into that flow state and not just
Right.
trying to hit them as much as possible and do all the cool things that you know how to do that you never hesitate on in practice, because there's no consequences if you get countered. There's no
Right.
consequences if you lose a round in practice. So bringing practice into the cage, that's really what not worrying about winning is all about.
Well, and that makes a lot of sense. And I like the idea of that. Yeah, it was a good way to be. In
Yeah.
general, I think that, yeah, like you said, you just go in there and try to prove your best. I feel when you lose something, when you didn't try that hard, is like, I just hate when I beat myself type thing, when I gave it
Yeah.
away, and that you
Mhm.
didn't give your best and stuff. That's, to me, when you let yourself down. That's the
Mhm.
crappy about it. But yeah, if you went out and threw everything, like you said, those incredible kicks, you threw like literally everything and gave it all and came away with this incredible epic that everybody now, this could
They're
be
talking
one of these
about.
Hall of Fame fights. You never even know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even in quote unquote defeat, he had an incredible victory. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm down. But like I said, I'm just really glad. Hopefully he can be back and be more active because it's been a couple years. But that's one thing I want to ask you about too, because he had a suspension because of his. This is Yair I'm talking about, because of he didn't do the USADA whereabouts. I guess he missed 3 of them, and he was saying that he's kind of a nomad and he likes to travel around and go to gym from gym to gym, and one day he's over here, one day he's over there, and he didn't always file his whereabouts, and so that's why he had gotten caught for USADA. And then he realized, okay, yeah, I shouldn't do this and I need to be more professional about it or whatever. But how big of a pain in the butt is that?
It's a huge pain. I don't even know if I filed, because I put Adam in charge of in charge of filing where I go. So if you don't have an Adam, it's really hard to keep track of that stuff, because
Yeah.
I've even in the last month, I don't even know how many places I've been. But if you're not, first of all, I'm not at a gym. I've kind of
Right.
trained in a bunch of different places, including my garage. So the whereabouts, they ask you to tell them where you're going to be every hour of the day, every
Are
day of
you
the month.
serious? It's that
Yeah,
specific.
it's that
Every
specific.
hour for every.
Yeah. So they need to know where they can find you. And if
That's
you're,
insanity. That's
it's in, it's
insanity.
insane. It's insane. It's Big
I didn't
Brother.
realize
It's
it was that specific.
no, it's
Every
very
hour.
specific. But this is how you get suspended. If you are in a vicinity where you say you're one place, but you're so far away that the USADA piss collector, I forget what they call it, USADA agent or whatever, they can't come and meet you where you are,
Right.
then that's when you get a suspension. So if I'm not telling them, if I'm in the garage, but my thing says I'm at Alliance BJJ, which is where
Right.
I train sometimes. If I'm in the garage, then they'll be like, okay, well, we're coming to the garage, or,
Right. Stay there. We're coming to
stay
make you
there. We're
pee.
going to come to you and get your pee. So that's
Right.
usually what happens. But if I'm in Colorado, which I was, 3 weeks ago, or if
Right.
I'm in, Burbank, which I was
Right. Where? Yeah. Like where'd
the
you go for
other
the LFA
weekend
fight?
for
Where was
for
that?
LFA, it was in
Yeah.
Burbank, then that might be an issue if I didn't update them and tell them I'm going to be in Burbank for 2 days, and then they show up at my house and they're like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm in Burbank." And then that's like a 3-4 hour drive with
Right.
traffic. Then that's going to be a strike against me, and if I
Right.
get 3
Okay.
of those, then I'm screwed.
What is
So
it? Right. Yeah.
someone being a nomadic fighter, which a lot of us are, it's
Yeah.
very easy to get strikes. And if you don't have someone who's on you about it, like I have Adam, he's on me about my pills, about my training, about
Right.
my whereabouts, all that stuff, then it's really hard to keep up, because we're fighters, we're getting punched in the face all day, we got all this shit going on, we don't have time to think about that. So I understand Yair, and I look at him and I really have a hard time believing he was doping and being super sneaky about it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so, but you never know. But it, as a fighter who has to do all that stuff, it is very hard to keep track of.
And so, is it? Do you do it? Is it an app? Can you say, oh, because what if your plans change? Oh wow, it turns out now I'm gotta go, stop by and see and babysit, my friend 2 towns away. So then you have to log
You
in
have to
and
update them. Yeah. And it's the annoying part is the app doesn't work. The app doesn't work. You try to update something, you could put all your shit in. You put out your
yeah,
whole training, your weekly training or whatever. And you're like, oh, this thing is gonna change this week. Let me go update
right,
it. It'll be like error or something. There'll be a problem with it. So I just email them when I have to do it myself. I
right,
just email them and I say, hey, I got this thing, so I'm not gonna be where I said I was. But if you try to update it in the app, it doesn't work. So it's like a really tedious process.
right. Oh, that
Uh,
sucks.
yeah, it sucks. It sucks. And everyone's supposed to do it. I'm happy that they're trying to make the sport safer,
For
but
sure.
a lot of times the wrong people get penalized for it. And my girl Jessica Penne, she's
Yeah,
a very publicized version of that. Same with Yair. I think a lot
yeah.
of the wrong people get caught mostly, and the right people are running around punching people in the face with lots of drugs in their system. So it is what it is.
It is what it is. Well, yeah. So what else stood out for
Max
you
Holloway.
this weekend?
Oh, okay, so wait, what were the fights? The
You
big
know,
boys. The big
well,
boys were
Andrea
pretty
Lee
cool.
looked good. Courtney Casey looked good. Both of those girls.
Yes, yes, yes.
I
Those
felt
girls look
bad
good.
for Cynthia, to quit between rounds 2 and 3. Cynthia had a broken orbital, and
Ah,
she just that was not going her way.
well, I'm happy that the coaches stepped in. That is the nice part about that
Yeah.
whole circumstance is that the coaches said, "All right, you're done. You're not," because fighters we're never gonna quit on the stool unless it's just really we're just really having a hard time. A lot of times we're too stupid to quit on the stool, and it's embarrassing as well. So I'm happy that the coaches took it out of her hands and were just like, "Hey, you're not going back out there. Nothing good is going to come out of you
Yeah.
going back out there. Like, we're done." And she was losing everywhere. Like, she wasn't getting takedowns. She wasn't winning grappling. She wasn't winning the striking exchanges, like,
Yeah.
especially. And the second round was really where Andrea Lee pulled away and just started
Mhm.
started hammering her. So I was really impressed with KGB. I thought she looked great. She looked real cute in a little hat. And yeah, it was a really good win for her. Probably her
Uh-huh.
biggest win so far. At 125, I think.
Well, yeah, last time she beat Antonina Shevchenko, but
Yeah, but Shevchenko hasn't really done anything since.
right, no, this is much bigger because Cynthia was ranked
Yeah.
number 5, and going in, Andrea was ranked number 12. So it's a big win.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a big
yeah.
win.
So she's
It's a
moving
big win.
up, man. She's moving up. And with the flyweights, it's only a few wins and you're being looked at for that title contention. So
Yeah, yeah.
keep
So
at it.
she did it. She did a good job, and Courtney Casey, kind of to your point, what we were just talking about not necessarily going in and focusing on the win or the loss, because if you look at her record, at this point now, I think her record is 11-9 or something.
Okay.
But she has had so many split decisions,
Yeah.
and been on the wrong side of so
Including
many of them.
including our fight, which she won somehow.
But
You
yeah,
win some, you lose some.
you win some, you lose some. But yeah, I thought she looked good. I thought she looked good, and I thought she looked more aggressive. She looked like she maybe beefed up some too, muscle wise. She looked a little bigger to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, now that
But
she's
maybe I'm
fighting at
just imagining that.
125.
Yeah.
Well, she's fighting at 125
Right.
and now
Right.
she's settled in. So
Yeah.
a lot of times you start to beef up. Like when I first started fighting at 115, I looked like a rake. Like I looked so skinny and like a little stick with little biceps on it,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
eventually I started to fill out and started to look a little more imposing in there. And I
Yeah.
think the same is happening with Courtney. She's finally letting that muscle settle. She doesn't have to
Yeah.
lose it in order to
Yeah.
make the weight class, which makes a huge difference. I honestly, I feel like everyone should do that. My girl Jenna, she fought a girl who was much bigger on fight day, but Jenna had more in the gas tank towards the second and third round, just because she doesn't cut a lot of weight. She grinds in the gym, but also she fights at a more natural weight than
That's good.
most of the girls in flyweight, and that's kind of how I do it too. I like to fight at the weight that I spar at, the weight that I train at. So yeah, now Courtney is settling into that weight class and she's making a home for herself. So happy for you, Courtney.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to think if there was something else. Oh well, speaking of smashing too, Cyborg, did her thing again.
Cyborg smash.
It's so fun watching her do it, but I mean, that was a fun little exchange for the 10 seconds it lasted.
Oh man, yeah, I only saw the highlight. Yeah, I only saw the highlight, but I feel like that's how long the fight was, huh?
That's what I saw too, because I was at work and stuff. But I was like, well, that looks about right.
Yeah, that looks about Cyborg. I love, like, I feel like we saw Cyborg kind of fall off a bit. Not fall
Yeah,
off, but not look as scary as she usually does. And
yeah,
then in her last couple of fights, she just went right back to like 2012 Cyborg,
yeah,
like the Cyborg that was just destroying everyone and no one had a chance, not even Gina Carano, who's the best in the world. And yeah, I love watching her. That Cyborg was the first fighter that I would watch before I fought to try to
yeah. Oh,
channel that same energy, that same
nice.
like bad bitch,
Yeah,
just pound on him, not even give him a chance to breathe. So I love watching her fight. So congrats, Cyborg.
me too.
And
Yeah, she.
oh no, go ahead. No, I'm
I
done.
was just gonna say, no, I love watching her fight too, and she is. I definitely live vicariously through her because she just beats the crap out of it. It's just it's just fun to see, and she's
Yeah.
such a specialist at it. And it's like you go to the carnival ride and put your mind. You want that roller coaster ride or whatever you go. You want your guaranteed good time, and Chris is always a guaranteed good time. And
Mm.
like you said, she kind of went back to form, and maybe that's because girls like Julia Budd and some of the girls were able. They're good fighters, right? And so they've
Mm-hmm.
lasted a little bit longer, and they took her into deeper rounds. And yeah, so she wasn't able to finish some of her other opponents as quickly. But to go and see her do this again, and I just remember I've seen her one of her fights. I don't remember who it was. If it was Charmaine Tweet, is that right? Down at the
Oh yeah.
OC fair one time, and yes, Chris comes out and she's right. I was sitting right by the cage, and she comes out and just cracks her with something and sends her. She's like fall, already like just down on the canvas and stuff. And I just remember her like the look of her like being on the canvas and like like looking up and being like, oh, like I gotta get up, like it was sort of one of those things you could just already tell, like you're like, oh no, like you're either gonna come down here and wail on me or I have to get up and get my ass kicked again. And
Oh
there's just
man.
no easy choices in the cage with Chris. Like it just would
Yeah.
suck. Like it would. I don't. I big up all the women that are willing to go in there with her, and of course I big up Chris because she's just incredible.
Yeah, she's amazing. Well, my girl Kat Zagano, I know, is vying for a piece of that action. So
Yeah.
hopefully they make that fight because I think that would be a real dope fight. And Kat's
Oh,
been
Kat's so
killing it as well.
scrappy.
Yeah, she's been killing it as well. So yeah, I'm sure there's a very short line of women who want to fight Cyborg.
Totally, totally. Where are we at? Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm sure it's not long at all.
Yeah.
We have Miesha coming up next weekend, and she is
Yeah.
fighting Ketlin Vieira. And I think it's one of those things where it's just people don't know Ketlin as well, and
Mhm.
so they automatically are like, oh, Misha's going to come back and win, but that's a tough fight for her.
It is. It is. Ketlin is tricky, and I think Miesha has a lot of areas where she can capitalize, especially using her veteran skills. Just the fact that
Mhm.
she's been in there a lot more, even though it was back in the day, is still a
Yeah,
lot more. And Ketlin is almost the perfect person for Miesha to test herself against because Ketlin's only fought like once a year in the last
yeah,
4 years. So this is going to be the first time that she's fighting twice in a year. And it's against Miesha Tate, who has all sorts of little cool little tricks and
yeah.
clever little ways to move her body. And I think the real fight is going to be on the feet. I
Mhm.
think that's going to be where Miesha has the most problem because Ketlin can swing. She can just like she kind of like throws from her hip and just
Yeah.
gets real nasty with it. And I feel like if Misha's there to eat those, then it's going to be a rough night. But
Well,
I, oh no,
well, I
go
was gonna say,
ahead.
especially if she ever shoots for a takedown.
Exactly. Like the take, I mean, Misha's gonna have to shoot for a takedown, but how easy is that takedown gonna be for her? And Misha's wrestling is excellent. Like I was watching tape,
Awesome.
and back when I first watched Miesha, I was one of those snobby strikers that were
She's
like, her
great.
wrestling is stupid. She's just grabbing her legs. But I'm watching it now and I'm like, yo, this bitch can wrestle. Like
Yes, she
she
can. Yeah,
She's
she's
so good. She's so good at
Yeah.
wrestling. Like
I know. Yeah, she
she's like one
wrestled
of the
forever.
dude, and she's one of the few people who are chain wrestling in the cage,
Yeah.
especially at her weight class. So it's gonna be a really tough fight for Ketlin. It's I mean, either it could go either way, I feel like,
Yeah.
but it's going to be a scrappy fight. I think both of the girls have tools to win in different areas. I think Miesha has the grappling advantage, but Ketlin has her own tricks. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Also, Ketlin has like the whole weight cut thing. The weight
I was
cut
gonna
issue
say
has, yeah, it's
she's
been
big.
like, yeah, she's a big girl, but if the weight cut is an issue, she could gas. And Miesha is the last person you want to gas against because
No, yeah.
that's when she smells blood. So, yeah, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be exactly like that. And like you said, Ketlin is big and strong, and that is one thing that I do know that Miesha. We've seen that she's worked on rebuilding her body as she came back and her strength and conditioning and how she is different from what she looked like before. And so
Hmm.
to see, the Miesha 2.0 with, like you said, that history of already having a great wrestling ability, but now maybe she has increased the strength too, which obviously strength isn't the only thing that matters. The technique matters, but if you also have the strength, then obviously why wouldn't you want the strength? You know what I mean? And because that's the thing. Like,
Exactly.
I just look at Ketlin and I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's tough. That's a big girl. Like that's
Yeah.
she, strong. So, but yet also we were saying, or what I was thinking about this, I was saying to the guys that Miesha will be the prize fight for Ketlin, right? This will be the best opponent she's ever had. This will be the highest profile fight she's ever had. So she never will have trained harder than she is going to train for this fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's one thing too that, not to say that Miesha doesn't, but Miesha's had title fights and all these high profile things. And when you know that how hungry, I'm sorry, my nose, I have like the allergies picking. My nose is so
same.
I know.
Same, dude. I've been like holding in sneezes the whole time. I'm like,
totally. And I'm like, if you've seen me, I don't do coke. So it's not that, but I'm like, I feel I've got like, my nose is so itchy right now, but I have my doors open as you heard.
Your new nickname's going to be John Jones.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh. Hey, a lot of fighters do coke. I've seen it. I've seen it. Leave them alone.
Of course. I let them play. Let them have their candy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so the idea that you're never going to get a better Ketlin than you are going to get on Saturday, because this is the biggest fight of her life. So it is always interesting when you know how amped the other person is going to be and how, it just will add a lot to know how good she already is. And then to add that extra motivation is pretty interesting. So.
And, there's obviously a clear path to victory, knowing that Miesha hasn't been in there for a long time. She had a great fight against Renault, but, Renault was on her way out. So how hard was Renault training? How motivated was Renault to win? You never really know. And, this is a great fight for Ketlin to just capitalize on the fact that, Miesha's striking looked amazing in her last fight, but will it look great against someone who's really hitting hard? If you watch the Aldana fight, Ketlin was landing, man. She was landing. And I hope she goes back to the way she was boxing in that fight, because just the fact that she like had that hand a little low, that's the only reason she got knocked out. Other than that, she looked amazing. She was landing hard punches. Like that, I thought Aldana was going to get knocked out before she got knocked out. So yeah, this is a very winnable fight for Ketlin, and she's going to be motivated to get in there and scrap. I think she has a lot to get back after the Yana fight too, just because of the controversialness of the decision, and knowing that if she had done a little more, it would have been a clear win for her, or just like not made a couple of mistakes she made in the last round. But yeah, this is a big fight for her, and this is a very winnable fight for Miesha as well. So it's gonna be a scrap. I'm excited.
Listen, folks, if you love that kind of commentary, actually, we're working together at the desk. You're coming. I mean, look at that. That's just a preview of the stellar breakdowns you will be getting on UFC Live and the pre-show with me, you, and Sugar Rashad Evans. And
Oh,
yeah, so that's gonna be fun. I think
gonna
there's
be a lot of brown sugar on the
I
desk.
think yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think there's one other person with us, but I can't remember who. But yeah, so it'll be fun.
Yay, that's gonna be fun. We
I
can
don't
get to
think it's
work
Dean.
best
Could you
together.
imagine if it was Dean?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, they need to throw some it has to be a rainbow. There's gonna be they can't just be all brown. There's gonna be a rainbow. There's gonna be like a
We would be
gradient.
different shades. We would be different shades of brown, though.
Yeah, we're different shades, but there has to be like the shade all the way at the end of the gradient so that
Well, it might be Alan, but Alan is, got some funky stuff going on. It might be Alan, though. Yeah.
okay. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Fun.
Cool. So yeah, so how hard it is. So basically you have 1 month. So how much of a Thanksgiving are you going to be able to have food wise?
I could eat. Like
Yeah.
if anything, my weight cut is super easy, so I have to eat a lot because the training gets harder. So if I'm not on top of it, then I'll be like walking around at like 118. So I can eat. I can eat my ass off.
Nice.
I just try to make sure that it's food that's gonna help me, so not as much pie
Yeah, I
as
know.
I would normally eat. But yeah, I'm trying to go in there nice and buff and chunky and healthy looking. So yeah, I'm
Nice.
gonna go ham on the turkey and the ham.
Nice.
Go ham on the
And
ham.
the nice. Awesome. Well, we have been putting these on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio, and then they're also on YouTube here. YouTube, I have my channel, YouTube.com/Karyn Bryant, and then hopefully they resolve the. I don't know what the latest is with the gram putting stuff.
Yeah,
Together.
I'll try this week. So
We'll see.
maybe IGTV. Fingers crossed.
We'll try.
Yeah.
But like we said, we do parts where we'll answer questions. So if you have questions about MMA, you can definitely leave them for us. And there's no question is a stupid question. We answer all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah.
right?
Yes, we do. Well, I mean, sometimes people
Well,
get a little cheeky, if you know what I mean. They ask something that they know the answer to already.
yeah.
But other than those questions,
Yeah, right.
if you want a
That's
real
true.
answer, we'll answer for you.
That's true. Okay, so where can people find you on social media?
You can find me at Angie Overkill on Instagram and Twitter, and at Overkill Hill on TikTok.
And you can find me at KB Heat on Instagram and Karyn Bryant on YouTube and Twitter, Karyn. Bryant as in Kobe, no relation, but may he rest in peace. This week, we're going to have Bobby Green on Tuesday Night Festivities, Angela Hanato and I. Bobby Green, so that'll be entertaining. He's cool.
Tell him I say congrats.
I will.
Yeah.
Awesome, people. Well, thank you so much for checking this out. We really appreciate it. And if you just figured this out and found us, this is episode, I think, 41 or something, right? So
yeah, 41. Let's go. Almost at my retirement age.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm thinking like 45-ish.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for checking this out, folks. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.